Oh, it's preparing. That's
It's
exciting.
now. It is.
The
We are
first
live.
Yeah. Oh, we're live. Sick.
What's up?
Dominic, what's up?
What's up, gang?
How's it going?
Nice. Oh, it's preparing.
It's now.
Lewis, I can't stay, but I wanted to check in at least for a little while.
It's all good. I appreciate your presence. You're great.
Hell yeah, dude.
Cool. Cool. Let's do it. I think let's get it started right here. Let's see. Let us get it started. Let's share this. All right. Hold on. Oops. Here we go. Connect. All right. You guys see my face?
Oh yeah.
That's great. Here we are. Okay. Oh, whoop. Supposed to change that. Where we're going a little bit more niche. But it's all good. I can still talk about sales
On the spot.
I like that you got that on tape.
all day, right? Either way, I can talk about sales, but we're talking about leadership. So let's do that. All right. So I appreciate everybody hopping on. It's great. We're just here for kind of like a conversation, but also really like I'm gonna do kind of like a mini workshop. So I'm gonna run through this subject and kind of like throw some questions at you. You could write down whatever you want, or you could just not write down anything. You can just talk about it, and that's totally fine. We can stay here for about 45 minutes, an hour. But if you guys need to hop off, and you're more than welcome to. All right. So what we're going over today is the first step in becoming a great leader. And this is my take on it, but something that's really helped me out and made a pivotal moment for me. And it's something that we need to discover. So now, instead of being a complete mystery, I'm just going to give it to you right now. The thing that we need to discover is really how we lead ourselves. That's really the answer. That's the first step. That's my opinion. We need to be really aware, or really start to be conscious of how we're really acting and how we're putting ourselves into the world, the energy that we're putting out, and really what we're doing with ourselves on a regular basis. Because for true leadership, I mean, it really always starts with yourself. And that's actually in another slide, but we need to know how to lead ourselves before we're able to lead others effectively. For having titles, I remember that there was, let's say my own previous experience, right? Let's say right out of college, I was working for 2 months as this marketing assistant for this guy who was he was, if you guys know the Copacabana in New York, how it was like the 5th time, the iteration where it's at right now, it's like the 5th time that it reopened, since it's been around for like, I don't know, 100 years or something. But it was opening for the first time and again, and that gentleman, this guy, well, not really a gentleman, but this guy, he was going to host the very first party that was going to be there. So I was one of the people who was helping him, get together the entertainment and, be his marketing guy, just do different marketing tasks. When you're out of college, you just do kind of random things that people tell you to do looking for a job. And it was interesting to see that he had connections, with dancers and photographers and all these different kind of people, but nobody out of all these different industries or whatnot who was involved with this project, nobody really liked him. Nobody liked this guy. And then I really saw that for the first time in my professional life, like these adults, these grown adults who have like these over 20 years experience, or these creative people, they just really don't like this person because this guy was just yelling at everybody, and he was just really not respecting people's time, and he really wasn't following through with his word. But he was the leader, right? That was his title. His title was, whatever, boss or CEO of X company. And it's just crazy, right? So then that really gave me a revelation of just, you don't really, all because you have a title, right? That doesn't mean you have any kind of power. That means you just have things to live up to, right? You have standards you live up to, and the standards are really dedicated, are dictated by, well, yourself, if you're the person who's in charge. And it's so crazy. That guy, he didn't even wind up paying anybody, not paying me, or not paying any of the dancers or anything. This whole craziness. That's how I know that, how I figured that man children exist, you know, like, or just people who are just not following through with their word. I'm like, wow. So I learned that, and I'm glad I did, because I knew I never wanted to be like that. So first thing, we got to have awareness. All right. So now let's click on this. Next slide. Okay. Like I said, leadership always begins with yourself. So if you really want to manage everybody else or manage the external, you got to handle or be aware of what's going on internally. So first, we need to dig deep as to how we think and how we show up every day. And really that comes with a couple of self-awareness questions, how I do this. You know, oh, that's part of the engaging part. Let's do it. So we'll go into a couple questions, all right? Just 4. And let's get to it, okay? So like I said, you could write it down, you could just have it in your mind, but let's just take a minute. And I want you to think of the answer of, what do you stand for? Oh, we got another person coming. We got people coming in, trickling. So that's the first question. Take a minute, you write it down, or you can think about it, just take it easy. What do you stand for? Now, these questions are going to be a little bit general on purpose, of course. I didn't mean exactly what do you stand for as XYZ, just what comes to mind when you answer this question. A lot of words, not a lot of words. It's all right. If you have it already, if you got it right away, that's cool. If it's really like circulating in your head, you don't know, that's all right. We'll just give it like 10 more seconds. And we'll share. Okay. All right, sweet. So for what we stand for, who would like to share their answer? I am going to call on people if you do not want to jump up right away.
You're gonna call people?
Yeah, I can, but I mean, if nobody wants to jump out.
I'll go first.
Yeah, go.
What do I stand for? A few words just came into my head. Positivity. You want me to like go into it a little bit, or just kind of just
Go into it. You know what? For the sake of this, how I usually run this is, I want you to try to break this down into just 1 or maybe 2 sentences.
Okay. So I'll just say, okay, 1 sentence. What do I stand for? I got 4 words that came to mind: positivity, growth, transformation, best self. And my second sentence is, I like to. I'm a guy that just wants to be the best I could be and unlock my potential pretty much, and I try to help others do the same thing. That's what came up.
That's cool. That's cool. Great. Cool. That's what you stand for. That's what Richard stands for. All right, let's have somebody else. Does anybody else want to jump out at it? What do you stand for?
Well, I can try.
Yeah, go for
Hi,
it.
guys.
Ruslan, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, by the way, my name is Ruslan, or Ruslan. You know, in the frame of leadership, I prefer to stand for productivity and results, and of course, trying to make people enjoy action. The main thing I'm standing for every time when I just try to be a leader. For example, good example, when I studied at the university, I was part of student council. And as any student council member, we used to be like a leader of our teams, and we try to make people enjoy the action, people enjoy the what we do. And of course, all of us were standing for the result. So in the frame of leadership, of course. Yep.
Sweet. Good stuff. Thanks
Oh,
for sharing. Sweet. Cool. Does anybody else want to share? Can we do one more person?
You better call someone.
Let's see.
I'll go.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Go for it.
So I just, I guess like a sentence, a statement came to mind. And for me, I do a lot of work as a career coach and helping people, like Richard said, becoming their better selves. So it's really meeting people where they're at. So for me, it's a lot about being open, fostering acceptance, being adaptable, realizing that what works for one person, a coaching style doesn't work for another person. So I feel like I'm always like I'm a chameleon, like I'm always shifting based on the needs of the clients I serve. So for me, it's really meeting people where they're at and trying to achieve like a compromise and what goals they want to meet when we actually have sessions together.
Cool. Very cool. Very cool. I didn't want to stop you, but for this exercise, it's supposed to be one sentence or two. And
He's like, yeah, B, you went far.
but you know what? That's super cool. And because it's actually really tough to
It is.
answer this question in just one or two sentences. That's not really fair, because we can't stand for just something that's just a few words. Literally, this, if we say a few words, then it really branches out, right? Because there's so much depth between us. Like us as individuals, we can't just say that we're just somebody who stands for positivity, right? Everyone in this room is like positive person. That's great. But I mean, is that all of who you are? Is that your entirety of what you, it's like, no, it's not, right? But it's interesting because when we're leading people, they don't see every single shade of us right away, right? So what is it that comes to mind that, this is maybe the forefront. This is the thing that I want people to see, right? That's kind of maybe the first sentence or so. That's why we're kind of breaking it down in this kind of exercise. That's what people would want to see first, or that's what you would want to show people first. So that's question number one. Let's move on to number two. Click. All right. Number two is, what does your team stand for? So if you currently have a team under you, then what does your team stand for? If you do not have a team, then pretend you have a team. Let's say I have at least 2 people. It could be 2 people or 200 people. What does your team stand for? Let's take another minute or 2.
Well, I am ready to answer because I answered on this question.
All right.
I
All
said,
right. Hold on.
I already
Hold on.
said, yeah, sure.
That's exciting. That's good. I'm glad. Good stuff. Just let's take a minute for everybody. Dominic's got to head out. Take care, Dominic. We'll catch you later. Appreciate you hopping on. Let's just take a minute. All right. Okay, sweet. Okay, sweet. Now, again, remember, your answer should be 1 sentence, maybe 2. All right, this what makes this tough. All right, my whole team, what it stands for, just 1 sentence or short. Like, yeah, that's it. That's what we're gonna do. All right, so let's do this. Okay. Well, Ruslan, I know you said you were eager. Let's have you go first. Sure, go for it. You wanted to jump out at it. The jump.
Well, I'm not ready to say the sentence, but I'm ready to say 2 words: result and pleasure. That's it. Really, if I got a team under me, I'm trying to make people enjoy, how I said before.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, and results. I have to be productive.
Sweet. Very cool. Very cool. Good stuff. Results and pleasure. It sounds very European. No, no, but no, I like it. I like it. I would agree. Totally. Okay, cool. Does anybody else want to take a shot at it?
My team.
Mhm.
So the first sentence is, my team stands for integrity and authenticity. And the second sentence, I get 2 sentences, right?
Yeah, 2 sentences. Yeah.
All right. So as a mindfulness coach, I don't have employees on me, me per se, but I feel like my team is my client.
Too much talking. Too much
No,
talking.
this is one sentence.
Go ahead. Go ahead. You're giving context. I get it. I get it.
So then yeah, so when I train my clients and with my clients, it's just like leading from the front, right? You got like people want to go where they want to go, and you're there to guide them. You're there to lead them. So like I like to lead with integrity and authenticity, just making sure like I could stand behind what I'm offering.
Sweet. Integrity, authenticity. Awesome. I like that. Mandy, you want to share? What do you think? What your team stands for?
It's very simple, really. It's my family stands for service to others.
I like that. Very nice. Simplicity, elegant. Very cool. I love it. Good stuff. Let's go on to the next one. Because remember, all these questions are really about self-awareness, about how we're leading ourselves and how we're showing up. And then how does that really translate towards what we show on a regular basis? Okay, so let's do this. Next one, number 3, is what impact/change do you want to create? What impact/change do you want to create? What comes to mind when answering this?
It's something global or about leadership only?
It could be almost anything. Just come with your honest answer of what answer comes out for you specifically. I know these questions are still, like I said, they're definitely general. They can be more specific, but they're general for a reason. You know?
Be an example for someone else, maybe.
All right, let's go to you. Yeah, you want to jump on it? Go ahead.
Sorry,
wait for everybody. We're right on time. No, it's good. It's good. It's like I want to.
Well,
go ahead.
Sure. Well, you know, sometimes I'm looking for an example or, you know, mentor who's gonna help me with something, you know, who's gonna show me how to act, how to go, how to live. And in the future, I really want to become this person. I want to change someone's life. I want to help someone to go to, I know, Jesus. I'm so sorry, guys. English is not my first language. That's why I'm just trying my best.
You're doing great. Great. You're doing great already.
I really want to, you know, change someone's life and help them to become a better person, as I wanted to be, as I wanted to find some, you know, some mentor. For example, right now I really need a mentor, and I want to be a mentor for someone else in the future. So yes, this is my impact or change I want to create. It's not about me; it's more about other people. Yeah.
I love that. Great stuff.
Thanks.
Very cool. Let's go for Megan. Did Megan hear that?
Yeah, she's coming. What impact do you wanna create? Come on, don't worry.
Come on down.
Can we give her 1 second? She's taking some water, some drink.
That's fine. That's fine.
The question is, what impact change do you want to create?
What impact change do I want to create? I want people to live the best versions of themselves. I want them to live with compassion and kindness for one another. So my passion is books, and I like to educate people with books, and a lot of stuff that I read has opened up my mind. So if I can lead people that way with giving them the right direction, that's good enough for me.
That's great. Good stuff. I appreciate you sharing. Great. That's beautiful. Books are beautiful. Let's go to number 4. So, it's the last one. So how are you currently doing that for yourself? So for the change and impact that you want to create, the things that you want to share with other people, that you want to push out into the world, how are you doing that with yourself? you. Let's add on a regular basis.
Should I start?
Oh, we're waiting a minute. We're taking a minute, about a minute, minute and a half. Just so everybody can take their time, you know, because these are, and it's great. It's great that, because instinctually we have an idea already of what this is, right? But we don't, a lot of us don't take enough time to just kind of have these questions and sit with them and just be really honest with them. And then kind of just be with them, right? So let's just be with it for half a minute.
Hello.
Thank goodness I can mute.
Oh. Huh? Oh.
All right, so let's do it. So how are you currently doing that for yourself? Let's go with Bedelia. Share with us.
Ooh, I knew you were going to call on me. So I guess the best way I put it is finding activities that serve my higher purpose. So things that make me feel positive. And, you know, one of the things is sharing. If I hear information that I feel will benefit others, sharing it across my social media posts, reaching out to others. I'm really big on doing check-ins with like my community. So like that fills me up, like letting people know, like, how can I help you level up? The other thing too is just taking that pause to reflect. It doesn't always have to be go, go, go. So I do a lot of journaling, a lot of like meditative walks where I think about my day and the next steps I want to go.
Good stuff. Very cool.
Beautiful.
Very cool. Thank you. Who else we got? Let's see. Let's go with Richard again.
So how am I doing that for myself? So I'm very big on this planning, scheduling, understanding myself, and understanding what like disciplines I need to hit on a daily basis, on a consistent basis, in order to level up, in order to kind of live my truth, right? So it's really just my routines and my disciplines. Make sure I'm doing my readings, make sure I have my alone time for working out, because that's really what fills me up, like physical activity. Check-ins too, just like meditations, reflections as well. I'm super big on that. So all those things, I know if I hit them on a daily basis, continual basis, then I feel on fire. I feel on point. And I know if I kind of get off track, then I'm malaligned and I feel just icky and just not on point. So it's very easy for me now to understand, okay, what do I need to do, and just execute on it. So yeah, that's why I keep
Great. It's great keeping yourself accountable. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing. Great stuff. So for these 4 questions, these are 4 questions that I've kind of developed, and then when I work with people and who I've trained in the past, like this really brings up emotions and thoughts that people usually don't think about, especially when they're kind of new, when they're kind of when they're really learning what the first step they should take into being in charge, when they want to be in charge. People need to understand how to be in charge of themselves first. So I'm going to go over my answers for these questions. Okay, so the first 2 questions are kind of like a trick question, right? A little bit in terms of how I teach it, how I think of it. So what I stand for is inner strength. Inner strength, building inner strength, you get to create the outer results in your life. Okay, that's really it. So as long as you're able to have a better relationship with yourself, then you're able to have a better relationship and stronger one with the people in your life, with the things that you do and the way that you think. So everything comes from that. Inside, then going outside. Now, as for what my team stands for, why I say it's kind of like a trick question, it's because it should be, in my opinion, the same thing, really. It's the same thing. So if you're the team leader and if you're the person who's in charge, right, then you're the person who creates the culture. You have a big hand in it, the majority of the hand. Obviously, the rest of it falls with the other people there, but you're the one who's directing everyone, right? You're flowing traffic. You're the orchestrator, the conductor, really, for the entire team. So for what the team stands for, you have to understand that every single individual who's in that team, that is what they stand for, as long as they are a part of this family, same unit. So for these people, if they don't understand how to, let's say, be empathetic or have emotional intelligence, and if that is a strong pillar of your team, and if this person doesn't have it, there's different leadership styles to handle that, right? Some people would just oust these people. They would just say, okay, that's it. Not, this person doesn't have it. They should be gone. And they're ostracized, or whatever you'd want to call it. They're fired. There's some other team leaders would actually spend the time to be able to groom this person, right? And that's what I believe should definitely be done. If there's someone on the team who doesn't have the skills necessary, but you hire them, like they're above that threshold of why you hired them, then if they're lacking in a certain department that's really important for one of the pillars of your team, it should be up to you as the leader, the person in charge, to be able to have the responsibility to help that person to grow up to standards. Now, of course, there's, logistics, if this person doesn't, if you're really helping this person and they are not going up to, what do you call it, up to standard in X amount of time, that's based on your own timelines, and then maybe they're not a right fit, right? Maybe they're not putting in the work, but that's really it. That's what kind of the culture that you create. You need to be able to express it, what that is, and be able to help others understand what that means for themselves. That's why, and that's how people can take ownership of their own work and understand how it's a part of the bigger picture. That's how that works through personal experience. So that's that. That's that for number 2. For number 3, for what impact or change do you want to create? So I have a big, my goals just keep getting bigger. Of the impact and change I want to create is to have people across the world understand how, when they have a stronger relationship with themselves, and how, oh, we have somebody else coming. When people have a stronger relationship with themselves and they are able to build stronger relationships with others and empathize with others, then they'll be able to create more solutions. That's really the biggest change I want to have, that people have the strength within them, and it's up to them to be able to really build these bridges with other people. So that's what I want to build. Every single thing that I'm working on, it's a day job, afterward, how I build relationships with people, the things that I do, it's kind of centered around that. Like, I know people have the power to accomplish what they want, and they're much more powerful than they think they are. And that's what really pushes me and moves me. That's what we're going to create. And whoever's on my team, then we are going to do that. They are going to help do that. And they can feel pride that, wow, they're doing something like that impact. Okay, so that's for number 3. And how am I currently doing that for myself? So for yourself. So I put this in because you need to be doing things for yourself, because you can't really give away what you don't have. That's the biggest thing, right? So you can't give away what you don't have. What you need to do is you need to have a certain, if you want to have strength and show that you're a strong person, then you can make other people strong. Well, you need to have strength yourself. If you want to show empathy and patience and understanding and be able to make a structure, well, you need to be patient and understanding and non-judgmental and structured in your own life, right? So that's really how that works. So then for me, how I'm currently doing that, in terms of building the connections and the bridges between people, is normally just like Richard, I have my me time that I work on. So I continuously study in the morning. So I wake up usually at 6, and then I have my 1 hour to an hour and a half of things that I'm building up on, whether it's things like this, you know, how can I share my experiences with people, or how can I learn more from people, but also how can I just help more, right? So I have, of course, after work, like the people who I connect with before COVID, I'll be connecting with people on a weekly basis, seeing with people. That's how I met a lot of people in this room, just being able to network with people and being able to push myself out of my comfort zone and be able to just see how different people think and be able to say, like, how can we create something together? And I'm still figuring out how to do that even more during COVID, but that's why I started posting even more on Facebook and Instagram and everything like that, to really see, like, how can I do what I was trying to do before? How can I do it now? How can I not have an excuse, you know, and how can I keep putting out this energy and putting out this knowledge? But that's it, because the more I do that, then the more I'll be able to figure out new ways to create new things with different people. And so that's how I'm doing that with myself. So these are the 4 points. And just remember, it all comes down to really the first step of leadership is like how we lead ourselves. And that's really what it comes down to, how you're leading yourself. And this is a really good entryway as to how to understand that. So now let's open it up to any kind of questions or any kind of anything that anybody's got. So if you have any questions or if you want to share something or perspective, you totally can. So I'm opening it up right now. Go ahead, go for it. What you got?
Okay, I'll ask. Give me a second.
All right.
So where do you think someone should start if they're trying to understand like what they stand for? If they don't have something like their feet in the ground or like really cemented on a value or something, how can they go about learning that about themselves?
So you cut out a little bit in the beginning. You said if they don't have anyone they're learning from?
No, if they don't have something like they stand for, question number one, if someone's like, oh, I don't really know, what's your suggestion for them to start like that process?
That's great. So the first thing, that's why that's the first question, because essentially if people don't have one, they think of what that is, right? And if they don't really know what that is in the beginning, like I don't really have anything I stand for in the beginning, then they choose something they would want to stand for, right? Because everybody feels like they're gravitating towards something, right? Oh, I want to look like this person, or I really want to show myself like this, or I have this idol or whatnot. And even if they have no kind of frame of reference to choose, like they don't have any idols or any kind of examples, right? We're human, so then we strive towards something. So they will strive towards an idea of who they would want to be if they are in charge. Then when they have that idea, then they're aware of where they're at now. So then what they have or what they don't have compared to this. Then they start to notice the bridge in the middle as to what is necessary for me to actually get there. So that's the starting point for that.
And how to find the motivation to do something, especially in lockdown.
Right? I mean, we all, motivation is well, it's kind of motivation like finite. I would say that you need more than things just to go on a temporary basis. That's why we need a strong why, right? That's why, like, kind of what the third question of what impact or change we want to create. Well, that's what we want, right? That's what we want to create. That's what we want to do. And so that really pushes you, that when you have something wrong, right, going your way, let's say you're the leader and then you have just all the numbers are wrong, right? Like you could say sales are down, or you have people doing what they're not supposed to do. And then you have just things going wrong within the business that usually does. Then what gets you through that is just understanding what the mission is, and like what you're really trying to create. And that's it. If you're somebody who's brand spanking new without any kind of motivation, everybody wants something, right? So maybe this is a good point, a good tactic to bring up, is that if you want somebody to do something or somebody to get connected with something, even if, let's say, they don't have the experience of doing it on their own yet, you can introduce, like, as you talk with them and build a relationship with them, you understand the things that are important to them. and then you take a specific part of that as to what it is that they want, and then you combine what it is that they want, like what do they want to achieve, combine it with the work that they have to do with the team. The work that they have to do with the team. All right, so let's say it as a, okay, the first thing that, oh, we got somebody coming in again. There you go. So let's say, let's say we have, let's say it's a sales thing, right? So if you're training somebody, just like I did for my old company. So if you're training somebody and they have to be good at, let's say, closing a sale, and people used to close sales, let's say on their third day, okay, when they were selling, like door-to-door sales. And what would happen is that the first day or two, if you had no experience in it, would kind of suck. So it would just be kind of really hard. It would just be pretty bad that you just would not know, like, what am I doing? Or like, am I really good at this? Or can I do this? Or anything like that. And so what you would have to do is give someone a reminder that of why they're doing it. And so the third day to sell something, you're not doing it just so then to do it, right? You're doing it to accomplish the goal that you set out to. So then if I learn how to sell, then that means I'll be able to make money consistently. If I know how to make money consistently, then that means I'll be able to pay for that extra date that I wanted to have with my girlfriend. I'll be able to not live, excuse me, not live on such a low margin per week. You know, I can actually buy things for myself, or I can have a vacation that I want, or I can have, and then you insert here as to what the goal is that that person wants. That's how you're able to connect that. And that becomes motivation, because often people say they don't have motivation or whatnot. That's because they can't connect what they're doing towards how it equates to what they want, their bigger goals. And that's it.
Great.
Oh, we got a chat. Someone in the chat.
How about somebody?
Bye. Badile has to go. Take care. You were great. Thanks for coming. I don't know if she had off already.
Goodbye.
Oh, look what we have here.
Hey.
Oh, we can't hear you. You're there.
Can you
You
hear
go.
me now?
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Great.
So how do you motivate when, so like where I work, we have our mission. It's
Mhm.
already set, so I don't get to choose the mission.
Mhm.
So how can I help someone understand how that mission could move them forward in like their position, like to help them become a better manager, to help mentor them, I guess is a good way to say it.
Hmm. So then
Because
we're-
I've been working on mentoring and helping my supervisors be able to motivate the team, especially with COVID. A lot of them are working at homes. And so we have a few in the office and they're getting burned out because we've been for what we do, it's been very high pace and high energy. So our projects actually got pushed up about 6 months.
Oh, wow.
Luckily, we just got it deployed. We just deployed Microsoft Teams for us,
Wow.
which is great. But the energy level for them has been trying to help keep them motivated and help them see what the mission is and how it impacts them and help them see the impact that they're doing for everyone else in the organization.
So there's a couple of points to that. I'm going to try to make it a little bit, let's say, talk simplistically, but then also talk, let's say, when it's a little bit more larger scale. Like on a larger scale point, yes, we have to understand what the goal is for the company, right? Exactly what we're all doing, and the goal should always be bigger than the obstacles that we see, right? So it's a huge thing. Are you allowed to share what the goal is, you know, for your company, what you're helping out with?
So for the organization I'm working, it's a law enforcement organization. But what I'm doing is I'm working with a group that we're Unified Communications. So we're working to get Office 365 deployed to the enterprise, to the users. So we had to push Microsoft Teams. We were supposed to deploy it by the end of the year. and we had it deployed by the end of June.
Right.
So we just got it deployed. But I mean, there's still a lot more going on in the background.
Right.
Because we had to do it so quickly, they're all kind of burned out. So we're trying to
Right.
figure out ways to help them to understand where we're going still, to push them, to help them understand and be motivated to keep moving forward.
So there's definitely a few parts to that. The first is that to implement communications, right, for law enforcement, because if you said that's the real end goal, nobody's really going to get nobody's going to want to put in extra hours at home or be able to really, spend time when they have their family right there and, not spend time with them. And nobody's going to want to just like sit down on the couch for an extra, half an hour, just relax. If the overarching goal is to just set up this program, right? It has to be even bigger. That's the first part. The vision has to be known that it's really creating impact, right? So I know there's probably repercussions higher than that when everything is really set up, then it's helping these kind of people. It's like, solving this kind of problem, right? It's really solving real issues. That's one way to look at it, right? Because when you get people understanding that's one thing. It's not to just implement just more communication. It's to actually change something in the world. That's one part. The other part is if you're the person mentoring these people, they really want to hear, they want to feel and know that you actually care about what they're going through. They want to hear and know that you actually care about what they're going through. So then each person that you speak to or that you're in charge of, the question should come across your mind, but also you should ask like, hey, what do you need? Right? Like, what is it that you actually need? Because I mean, and I know it for myself personally, right? Like it's very different just 100% working from home, even if you're computer savvy or not, like, even if you're just, great with technology, like it's a mental shift, it's a physical shift. People have their routines that are off and actually not doing the same thing every day. So maybe some people need to work a little bit less in a certain time frame. Maybe they can work more at night. Maybe they could do a different kind of schedule. But people will be motivated if they know that you're coming from a place where you understand what they're saying, and if you can customize what you're saying, attributed to that, then they'll take what you're saying more seriously. And then if you connect it to the bigger goal at the same time, then they'll know that we're working on it, but we also need to get where we're going. That's it. Hey, hey, Uncle, how's it going?
Good.
Hi.
Throw you off your game?
What was that? The volume on your thing, it got lower. Say that again.
No, throw you off your game there for a second?
The game? No, you're good. You're good. We're all here. We're just flowing. We're just flowing with it. We're fine. Yes. Great to see you. It's great to see you. Yeah. So good stuff. So that's what I would do with that. Does that make sense? Do you want me to repeat any of that?
No. I mean, I've been working with that, but there's still a few that I think you're always gonna have a few you're not gonna get through anyways.
Yeah, that's law of averages. Like there's always going to be like one or two people, right? Do you want to give a specific example to one person, like for as much detail as you can, or you don't have to give everything, but what's going on with one of your people that you can't get through to them?
But so I have government employees that I supervise, but then I also have contractors. And I have a couple of contractors that when they were hired for specific programs. But as we're moving forward, we need them to become more flexible and more willing to learn the newer stuff. So we have a few that just don't seem to want to do it. So unfortunately, eventually it's going to come down to we'll probably have to let them go and get them to rehire and get somebody who's willing to come in. But we've been trying to work with them to see if we can get them to get motivated to learn the new stuff.
Right. So why don't they want to do it?
I keep asking their program manager the same question. But ultimately, it's trying to
Yeah.
give them a chance.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, that's crazy because we have like my mom who works for the Department of Education, that this whole thing, they never really had to go remote, 100% remote. And so they're all trying to figure out exactly, how do we do this? Why don't we have these numbers ahead of time? And why don't we do this? And like, why don't we have this already done? It should have been done, but things are different now. So I'm really surprised that they didn't really ask her really what does she need, right? Like, what is it that, what's the obstacles going on in her life right now? Or what other tools does she need to make sure that she's compliant and they're able to succeed with what's needed? And it's not there, right? Just asking the person. So for this manager, that their director, right? What, did they not know why this person does not want to put in that work?
He's working with them, but he's kind of slow about it. He wants to give him multiple chances to.
I think that program director can like do a lot more impacting if he knew what he needed to impact.
Well,
He does to a point, but he wants to give them a chance, which is fine, but I can only give you so many chances.
That's fine.
Ultimately,
And this comes
it's
down,
government money that we're paying you to do a service.
right?
Ultimately, we need a certain level of expertise.
Yeah, and execution. Ruslan, you were gonna say something?
yeah, it's more fundamental, I think. But first of all, we have to choose the right people, because sometimes I got such experience when we just choose anyone we had, and in the end, people just really didn't understand the goal, the mission, the objectives of projects, for example. And it is a big problem to, it's very fundamental. When you just try to start doing something, you have to choose the right people who understand you, who understand your project or your business, for example. And the second thing is, although you just got wrong people, so these wrong people might be very strong in something. So we have to find their strength. And for example, you said that you got several contractors working at your company. So maybe they are very strong in specific things, really specific, really small and very specific, but they probably can just, boost your company. So I think, because, things, I don't have, the great experience of leadership, but something. And you probably just have to find their strength and, just to put them in the right position in your company. Well,
Yeah.
that's it I wanted to say.
Yeah, nice. No, I think that's right. Pete, Rich, go ahead.
Yeah, if I could piggyback off that, sometimes like not everybody's gonna be motivated by the same thing, right? Some people you could kind of be compassionate with them, and then they'll understand, and then you get to know like what their motivations are, like Lewis was talking about, and then it's all good. Then they get aligned. Some other people, like, you gotta like crack the whip on it, right? You gotta set the boundaries and then be like, hey, you gotta do this by this amount of time, otherwise you're done. Like there's always that balance, right? Like the dictator or the guider. And you have to find out, and this is like the job of a leader, find out, okay, like Mary is more like I can influence her better by guiding her, but Joe over there, I have to really be harder on him. It's all coming from like the same place. You just want to succeed. And then that's where you kind of like modify the puzzle piece to fit the individual, and then
Exactly.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, that's
Well,
really.
and
Go ahead.
with the same token, I mean, if you hire somebody.
Hold on, real quick. You guys, the sound on your phone, I don't know if you could fix it. Before it was like really good.
It's the manly voice that I have.
No, okay. Anyway, I don't know if you can fix it, but go ahead.
I was gonna say, with the same token, you hire a person with whatever you have at the time, and what the heck you call it? It's always gonna go ahead. You don't want to fall behind.
Mhm.
And the person you hire have to keep up with the times.
Yep.
Because you don't want to, okay, you hired this guy, a year ago, and he's been with you for a year, and it changes, your company changes the pace.
to put things, to put that
Let
really,
that go, because you can find somebody, you know somebody else who's doing the job.
right,
So
right,
they
right.
have to keep up with the times.
Exactly.
That's 100% right. I mean, that really comes to standards and expectations. So
Yeah, exactly.
there should always be standards in place, right? So for the whole like spectrum of hiring and firing, you know, like we have to know, just like Ruslan was saying, like who are we like hiring? And that's it. If they went through the hoops, then we hire them, then that's it. Now we're responsible for them. Part of that responsibility is upkeeping them to the standards that are needed, right? That are needed. So there's the minimum standard, and then hopefully there's your standard, which is a little bit above that in terms of what's needed for that. And if part of that standard is, let's say, just like Karen was saying, just like saying, this person needs to learn this new kind of subject matter and be able to execute on it. Well, that's just what's needed. That's the next level of just standards. So what needs to happen is that this person either needs to just like you've been saying, being able to go up to it, or that's it, or they have to go. So then if we really break all that down, it really comes down to, okay, am I, as this person's manager, going to work with them as much as what's necessary to make sure I'm building them up, I'm helping them go up there? Or am I just going to have them do their own thing, and then maybe they'll actually figure it out if they don't want to get fired? That's leadership style.
Well, no, so because I'm at the supervisor level, but they bumped me up a level, so I'm not even really at the level with them anymore.
Right.
So I'm having to work with someone who stepped in my position to be the supervisor. So I'm having to work with him and mentor him
Cool.
to deal with all this stuff.
That's fine. So
Because,
then,
and I already know what I would have already done, and I keep telling him, but I gotta let him make that decision because he's at that level now.
this is interesting because, yeah, it goes into now, how do you train someone to do something else, to train someone else, right? And I love that too. I love being able to, I love when I used to do that in my old company, because it really is, everybody overthinks it too much, really. Everybody really overthinks it. You know, what we're going over in this workshop was kind of what you stand for, what does your team stand for, right? Because it's kind of like circles. Like if you were the employee, what would you stand for? If you're the manager, bigger circle, what would you stand for, right? It's supposed to be the same thing. There's a line that connects both of them, that it's the same thing. Because if you're the employee, a highly effective employee, then you will think like a manager, right? And go above and beyond, do what's necessary, right? Well, if you're the manager, then you will think just you are the same thing. You are the person in charge, like you run the company, right? So every level, it's harmonious, it's nice and effective if people think like this. So then when you're training down people who are, let's say, someone else who is maybe not as experienced as you, then you have to really understand that person first as to, okay, how is it that they like to be trained? How is it that they like to be talked to? How do they understand things? Because really it just comes down to one question, really, like, hey, you know, it can be Tiffany, like, hey, Stephanie, you know, what are you doing? What game plan do you have to make sure Jacob is up to par with this program? So like, what's your game plan? Like, what's your strategy, right? You literally can ask. You can literally ask that. And then if they say, I don't know, then what you do as an effective leader is you don't bash them by saying, well, why don't you have anything? What I would have done is this. That's too much projection. That's too much deflection. What you do is you accept what they say. If they say, okay, no, I don't have anything. I just think Jacob's lazy and I just like really don't think he should be here. He'll probably be gone in about 4 weeks. And then instead of that, you as a more educated leader, you can come and say, all right, Stephanie, well, you know what? I'm going to help you. Let's just take like half an hour and we'll like book a time for that. And I'll walk through how you can actually impact Jacob and how he'll listen to you a little bit more effectively. And honestly, you could do that for the entire rest of your career. It's just another skill I'll give you. if you're open for me to, work with that with you.
I actually already had that meeting today.
Oh, great. Had it today. Nice. Good job.
Meeting this morning.
Nice. How'd it go?
So the project manager, well, he's kind of on the way out.
Okay.
But what I had to explain to him is the person that we're having issues with, the position she's at, it's a Office 365 position. And if she can't step up and do and be that SME that we need, he's gonna have to find someone else.
That's it.
That's
it. That's it then. You implement steps to help your people. You give them steps to walk on so they can go up to par. But if they are not just hitting those steps that you're giving them, then that's it. Then it's time to find somebody else.
Yeah. And the girl's been given a couple of chances.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's where it gets messy, right? Because you like the individual, but then you have to separate the individual from like their performance. If they're a good person, but they're not doing what they need to do, then I'm sorry, but I can't have you unless you step up.
Yeah, that's it.
It's like hiring friends.
Yeah.
But the one thing I always have to keep in mind, this is government funds. I'm paying a contractor company a lot of money
Yep.
to be subject matter experts. So when they come in and they're not meeting what we need, I can't keep them.
Exactly.
I
They're
mean,
not living up to what they're advertising.
exactly. That's part of the culture too. Your culture that they're stepping into. So then are they just here to just earn a paycheck just to glide by, right? Or are they coming in to earn their paycheck, impact the team, create a better force together, and like all around make people's lives better? Are they here to do that? That's great. If they're not, then they should not really be here.
No, because she's one of them that I have two that what my acting supervisor is telling me is like if we have a critical ticket and it's like just before they gotta leave, they're out the door.
Right.
And then I have the others that if there's a critical ticket, they won't leave until it's done because they know we have minimal support at night.
Right.
So it's kind of night and day. And I've told the supervisor, I've told Robbie, it's probably, to me, it's time to let her go.
That's it.
So,
That's it. It also sends a message to the rest of the people, or for people who come in. Don't just. Well, my style is to not just like have someone fired and then that's it. Nobody talks about it. That's not really it. You want to definitely
let them go. It's not the first one I've had to let go that we've
right.
had to just say they weren't working out and we would tell them why.
Yeah. You say why.
But I mean, like with the contracting company, the one thing I'm learning is I don't have to within a week if they're not doing what we want, we can let them go. Period.
That's it. They're contractors. Let them go. Find another one.
I don't like to think of it like that because we're all doing the same job. We're all still one team, one mission,
Exactly.
one
Yes.
focus. But
Exactly.
and it takes a while to get them trained to what we're doing. So
Yep.
you try to give them enough time to get to where they need to be.
There you go.
When she came in, with her defenses, when she came in, we weren't doing as much with Office 365
as we are now. So when she came in,
Oh, your volume came back. Sorry. Nice.
So, it's just interesting.
Got
But
it.
I liked your talk. It really made me think about stuff. And I actually took a picture of the slide so I could look at it some more.
I'm glad. That's so great. I'm glad you did. Okay, does anybody have any other questions or anything to share before we wrap up?
I'm good.
Cool. Very good.
How to take a screenshot? Control, Alt, and F12, right?
What do you want, a Mac or a PC? What are you on, a Mac or a PC?
He just disappeared.
He probably pressed the wrong button and he just kicked himself out or so. No, it's all right. I'll be able to share it with him. Okay, so I appreciate everyone being on. You guys are great, and I will be hosting more in the future.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.
See you later. Nice seeing you guys.
You too.